Hello and welcome, and thank you all for joining us for today's webinar, Discover New Possibilities with the Power of Process Discovery and Process Mining. My name's Beth and I am the editor for SSON and your host for this session. Today's webinar, I am delighted to say, is in partnership with Edgeverve, and some of the key areas that will be being covered today include exploring the latest industry trends, redefining process excellence, understanding how enterprises can and should leverage the power of process discovery and mining to aid continuous improvement, and how they can utilize process discovery and mining to be resilient in what has become the new normal. Before I hand you over to the presenters, just a couple of housekeeping points to raise. If at any stage you've got any questions for the presenters, then please don't be shy. You've got a whole interface on your screen at the moment where you will see a Q&A box. You can privately submit any questions that you'd like to send to the presenters in this area. And it's also best, if you've got any technical issues, for you to put those questions in there, and myself and Ashley at SSON will be behind the scenes helping you out if you've got any issues. So without further ado, it is my pleasure to introduce you all to today's webinar presenters. The first of whom is Satish Siddharamaiah, who is the Vice President and Global Product Head for AssistEdge at Edgeverve. Joining him today is Rasto Hlavak, who's the founder and CEO of Minute.io. And also joining him is Bernhard Schafrick, who's the Principal Analyst serving CIO professionals for Forrester. So absolutely delighted that you could all join us here for today's webinar. Satish, I believe that we're handing over to you for the first bit of this presentation. So the stage is yours, and thank you all so much for joining.
Thank you, Beth. Hi, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you're dialing from. Hope you're all doing well. We're really excited to be speaking to you on this very important topic on process discovery and process mining. We are having this discussion with this backdrop of this unprecedented pandemic and the massive changes that it has brought forth in many ways, including the way we live, work, and operate. In fact, it is to understand the impact of this on the businesses. Edgeverve conducted a survey 3 months ago with around 200 plus enterprise practitioners. The survey revealed that a whopping 63% of them were not able to meet their SLAs and deadlines during the initial weeks and months of this pandemic. But what was also heartening to see is how enterprises have successfully leveraged the technology subsequently to navigate through these challenges. So as we look ahead, it's become clear that enterprises have to invest in building resilience, driving agility, and hyper-productivity. Intelligent automation has taken a center stage in enabling enterprises to deal with the consequences of this uncertainty. Another research commissioned by Edgeverve indicated that enterprises that invested in intelligent automation fared much better during these times. 83% of enterprises believed that intelligent automation provided them with the required agility to respond in such situations. Adopting intelligent automation is a journey and needs to be approached with the mindset of continuous improvement. And you will hear, as we speak through this webinar, a lot about continuous improvement. After surveys have indicated automation initiatives would have yielded superior results if the right processes were picked and if there was a detailed know-how on how processes actually were executed on the ground. So this brings me to a very important and a critical success factor, a discipline that has far-reaching implications, and that is process excellence. Unfortunately, a success factor as critical as process excellence has not been able to leverage the power of technology thus far, which has made practicing continuous improvement a real challenge. Think of it this way. What if enterprises had cutting-edge technology that can help them unlock the hidden business value trapped in their processes on an ongoing basis? An approach that is scientific, an approach that is based on empirical data, and an approach that is free from human bias. A technology-led approach that can serve as a foundation for process innovation, help create pipeline for intelligent automation, and most importantly, make continuous improvement a reality. On that note, it's my delight to invite Dr. Bernhard Schafrick, principal analyst at Forrester, to throw more light on the concept of process excellence and the importance of that in the days ahead. Over to you, Bernard.
Thank you, Satish. Welcome, everybody. I'm also delighted to have the chance to talk about process excellence. And I'd like to start with the very good news first, and that is that the golden age of process excellence is on the horizon. And this is a really bold statement, and I will provide supporting evidence that speaks to that and is also manifesting that statement. So what's obvious, and we've all been seeing that the pandemic made many business leaders realize that their processes were broken since everybody was working from home, and processes that were just inefficient before the pandemic just broke down completely right in the pandemic. Right into Q1, what you can see on the right-hand side of that slide, Forrester conducted a survey among business leaders and IT decision makers, and we asked them about the process maturity. And what they responded to, what you can see in this graphic, is that 6% of the respondents said that the majority of their processes is still completely paper-based, whereas 24% of the respondents said that still many processes are completely paper-based, requiring manual routing of tasks, so completely non-automated. And more than 40% responded that the minority, few processes are still completely paper-based. So in total, over 70% of the organizations that responded to our survey right in the middle of the pandemic still have paper-based process dependencies. And of course, that's why processes broke. Always one of the respondents told us staff are at home, records are in the office, and patients are on hold. Now, we also asked the same decision makers, what are you going to do about this? And fortunately, more than half of them responded, we have understood the message. We need to start transforming our processes. We need to start with process excellence. And as you can see in that chart, 27% even talk about automating large numbers of currently manual processes. And that's a good sign. We also asked this population, which tools are you going to use, or which tools do you believe are going to help you on your automation journey from where you are right now with your broken processes to where you want to be? We asked them specifically about discovery and analytics tools like task mining, process discovery. And what you can see here is that 27% said, we are planning to use these tools. We don't have them today, but we are planning to use them. 90% said that they are already in use with them. And out of the ones that were already using them, a significant proportion responded that they would expand the usage of discovery and analytics tools to understand processes and tasks. We also asked them about modeling and documentation tools for processes and tasks. And again, here you see the kind of same picture. So users of process modeling and documentation tools are either intending to expand the usage. The ones that are using them already will continue using them. And there are quite some, more than 20%, planning to use modeling and documentation tools. So technology helps rescue broken manual processes. And this is why, to my earlier statement, I'm convinced that process excellence helps to remediate broken processes. And now process excellence is a discipline. It's no longer limited to the theoretical kind of modeling exercise that we have been seeing for decades. Now you can drive tangible outcomes by combining process excellence as a discipline with automation technologies. And these days, this is exactly what business leaders and also IT leaders want to hear and want to see. And the technologies I'm talking about are the ones you can see in this chart. I'd like to spend a couple minutes on these because that's important to understand. Not everything is RPA because everybody's talking about RPA. There is much more when it comes to automating tasks and processes. One important area of technology is DPA, which stands for Digital Process Automation. At Forrester, we distinguish DPA Deep and DPA Wide. So DPA Deep is what you might have called business process management tools in the 90s and maybe a couple of years ago. So basically tools that connect systems using APIs that read and understand event logs, and they pull them up along an end-to-end business process, manage them, monitor them, help you understand bottlenecks and gaps in such a process. Whereas DPA Wide, also known as workflow management tools, are emphasizing flows of data, flows of information, flows of approvals, connecting some low complexity systems, not going as deep as DPA Deep. That's why they are called DPA Deep tools, but still aspiring to connect systems across an end-to-end process. Then there is DCM, Dynamic Case Management. Some also call it Digital Case Management. It's about document-centric collaboration. You will find these specifically in the finance industry with insurers. So think about claims processing, mortgage origination. So it's important there to understand versioning of documents, editing of documents, editors of documents. You need to retain these documents. Usually these documents are connected with content management systems, but you need some kind of automation in order to be more efficient with processing such type of documents. And then obviously there is RPA, which is mimicking human user interactions with computers and is basically automating routine tasks. In the 80s, another technology was coming up called rules engines. Now we are calling them decisioning platforms or digital decisioning platforms or intelligent decisioning platforms, but basically more or less complex rule sets that help take decisions in rather complex workflows. So you basically put thresholds in there, decision trees in there, and these decisioning platforms help other tools, but also human beings to take the right decisions across the business process. Infusing, or kind of an umbrella term, of course, is artificial intelligence, which helps all of the above technologies to be much better than without. But AI in itself is not a technology which you could use to automate just by using it as a standalone product. Now, interesting question is, how should enterprises plan their journey towards process excellence as these automation technologies are mature enough to leverage them in your companies and also allow you to continuously improve? So basically the aspiration of process excellence we have been reading, we have been hearing for decades. The easy answer is move quickly to automate, but be strategic at the same time. What does it mean? Two things. In many customer inquiries I'm getting as an analyst from client companies, their BPM COE teams or BPM business unit related teams are quite living in an ivory tower. They don't really reach out to the real experts for business processes, but this is required. So if you want to realize automation at scale, it requires that all staff, all employees participating that have a say and that understand these business processes. So what I'm recommending to you is delegate most of the process automation work to those business experts who know the data, who know the processes, who know the activities behind the operations that have failed during COVID. And second, manage expectations, very important. So assume a messy response and also promise to improve over time. So when you hit the doors or knock on the virtual doors of your IT decision maker or your business decision maker, tell them we'll help, but please be patient with our initial efforts. Now, the goal is to restore broken processes, to restore operations. It's not about achieving elegance or perfection. That will come later. Commit to a learning process that's going to improve. As you learn with your initial efforts and over a period of, say, 1 year, 12 months, you will start reaching elegance and perfection. What's also important is to avoid automation disasters. And we're seeing lots of companies now rushing for automation and implementing automation technologies without having thought about what to prioritize, which processes to start first with, and where to put the focus. So it's very, very important to prioritize the right automation candidates. And I provide these 3 questions, which, of course, you could complicate them, but basically it boils down to these 3 in order to make up your priority list for what to automate right now. Question number 1, is the process standing in the way of critical business operations, yes or no? If yes, then this is your candidate. If no, drop it for now, park it somewhere. Question number 2, can you automate this critical process using existing tools, so tools you already have at hand in your company, or tools that you could easily implement? If yes, even better, great candidate to automate. I don't recommend to start implementing tools necessary to first understand and digitize the process before thinking about automating the whole thing. So that's taking way too long, way too complex, so use what you have and start from there. And number 3, are there additional areas of complexity that you need to address? For example, are there legal regulatory requirements that prevent you from automating because, for example, you need to keep all the documents created along a process on paper because it's required and you need to retain the paper? That's valid. Then start from question number 1 and pick another candidate. And to finish up on that one, so if you want to speed up this priority list and speed up your automation journey, you need to spend a couple more thoughts on how you do it. And this slide here might help you. So, of course, you could manually document and analyze all your processes, but this is complex. And those of you who have already done that have found out it's error-prone, it's time-consuming. So what I'm really recommending is to leverage mining tools, task mining tools, process mining tools, because they provide an objective, really objective starting point based on system and user data. And then collaborate. Take the business experts who understand the processes, who work the processes, and analyze them collaboratively based on the mining results. And that's another charming fact of mining tools. They're able to visualize process model in a way everybody can understand. So you don't need to be a developer to understand what these tools create. It's really straightforward. Speed to insight. And that comes back to expectation management. Offer speed to insight and offer the ability to scale. Get back to your leadership and tell them, listen, guys, I will be able to help you. I need number 1, I need number 2, I need number 3, but then I will promise to deliver. From the first mining iteration to the priorities list of processes to automate, I will take no longer than 4 weeks. From priorities you have taken based on my list, I will come up with a first automation iteration in another 4 weeks. So after 8 weeks, we will have something to work on and to continuously improve. And from there, you could even automate the whole discovery process. So taking together task mining, process mining, and the whole discovery framework around you need is something prone for automation. It removes time-consuming activities, and of course, it supports the business immediately. And last but not least, coming back to process excellence, it's a continuous activity. So you start with discovery, process mining, task mining to provide an objective set of data. Then you analyze collaboratively with the business. You document your results, the analysis of what you have come up with in your analysis phase. Then you re-engineer, talking about the target process based on the documented as is process, and then you automate. And then you see what happens. And then you start from scratch. You repeat, repeat, repeat. And this is very important to understand that the combination of process excellence and automation technologies make a difference this time. And with that, I'd like to hand over to Rasto.
Thanks, Bernard, for the great insights on how to drive automation at scale, and especially the clarity that you provided on the multitude set of technologies that have to come together, not just RPA as an example for automation. The golden age of process excellence, as you called it, is definitely on the horizon. So thank you so much, Bernard, for sharing your views. With that, let me invite Rasto, my friend from Minet and CEO of Minet. Over to you, Rasto.
Thank you very much, Satish. So I will start from the point, guys, where I will follow up on your presentations because I think there were a lot of really valuable information you mentioned there. So from a different studies, we can see that the results from the RPA projects are not really great. You know, we saw different numbers, like from 25 to 50% that the projects are failing. So it's really a significant problem, and we can see that. And we also Bernard talked about the reasons why it is happening. So we believe that not every process is great for automation. This is important, like lessons learned from it. Automation is not always the cure for every process in the company. And we have a questions, then, so which processes to automate if we would like to go for the automation journey? Which process variants are the best for implement as a robot? So, and what is then the right approach before starting with automation? So what we believe, because there is a big hype on the market that automation first strategy is the right strategy to go for, we believe that automation first strategy is not always the right way to go. And there is something else what is possible to do. So we came with a concept, we call it Process Intelligence 2.0 first approach. So what does it mean? Why we are bringing this on the market? So we believe that actually with this type of technology, this type of technology can really solve these problems. So first of all, really choose which process is the right process for automation, do a prioritization of that, and even understanding, because one of the problems what were before were that the companies were just automating the existing processes, not doing any optimization before that. And we believe that's not the right approach. And the technology, this Process Intelligence 2.0 concept can really help you to really understand which process variant is the best for automation to run it as a robot skeleton. So how this works? So we combine two types of technologies. The first one is actually process mining. So you start with a process mining. It can give you the scope and framework. So you get the data from information systems, and you get a scope and framework what end-to-end process, what to analyze. So it can automatically define all the activities in the process. And then when you need more deep analysis, there are some activities where you can jump on the task or task mining or process the discovery part and really drill down on the level of every click. So of course, there are some recorders running on the desktops, and combining these two approaches, you are doing correlation of this data, of this analysis, and based on that, you have outputs where you can see, yes, these processes are the right for the automation. This is the prioritization of my automation strategy. And this is exactly the right process variants based on different possibilities. I'm curious to go for the lowest cost, or this is the most fastest part of the process I would like to automate. So there are different views. So this is exactly the best way to go. So we believe that there are some other, based on our experience and the best practices, we believe that could be some supportive technologies and functionalities that can bring the biggest value for the customers. So from this perspective, one of these, what I can mention, or maybe I will start with something else. So what we believe, what is now going on the market, is that the process intelligence is not only technology right now for the process engineers or only the process people, process experts. It's becoming the technology also for the business people, the business users eager to understand their processes. And we would like to empower them with the data-driven decisions, from the day one. And what we believe, what are the top trends to achieve that are actually two streams. So first stream is definitely to go with a great UI that these business people can really understand the software from the beginning. The second one, the second stream, is the automation of this analysis. So, and one of these, it could be the hierarchical process mining. So when you identify these candidates and you would like to do it, you can go from the level of high level of activities, from process mining up to the low level drill down to the level of the clicks. So this is really amazing. It was not done before, and this is now possible for the business users. The next one, which is connected more for this automation of the analysis, is really, we call it reward detector. What does it mean? So it automatically identify rewards. So it's repetition activities within the process. So there are some very complicated loops in the process. And based on this analysis, you can immediately see what is really happening there. Where are the problems? You can see it from the financial view, from the performance view. The business people have all their KPIs, so they can really do quick decisions and do the cost cutting right out of this. The next one, what I would like to mention is definitely the process simulations. We believe that, process mining and task mining, this process discovery can bring you some results, where are the problems, where are the bottlenecks. But then the managers sometimes, they are not sure and not immediately implementing the changes because there are some different ways to go, how to do it. So, so they don't, you don't need to guess anymore. You can test your process optimization hypothesis by simulations. If it's your priority, for example, the lowest cost, you're running the simulations, different variants, and see which process a simulation, the different optimization possibility can bring you the lowest cost. If the performance or some utilization is important, you can really focus on that. So it's really risk-free and it's a really game-changing technology. The next one, we believe it's kind of the must for the companies. It's AI-powered root cause analysis. So what does it mean? Based on this technology, you're able to really investigate where are the problems, in your process. So think about, you have some activity where it's connected with where you have a problems with all financial or performance problems, but it sometimes could be connected with some suppliers, some type of the products in some countries. And based on this automatic AI-based analysis, you can really have, okay, my biggest problem is here. So combination of these attributes, it's my root cause and faults and problems in the process. So we believe this is really, really important for the companies to have this functionality. And last but not least is definitely really clear visualization for the business people. So some user interface, what they will use for the process monitoring, or if they would like to drill down, they can use the process part. They can see also all their KPIs. The most important, they can drag and drop, set up all these dashboards. There's no programming. It's really on the user level. And they can really get the all information immediately with a notification on their phone. Oh, we have a problem here. And they can jump in it and do decision immediately. What we see also some other scenarios, not talking only about RPA optimization, we believe that combination of this process intelligence 2.0 technology, combination of task mining and process mining and process discovery, where it could be the benefit. So definitely, it's one of the scenarios is deeper and more complete process analysis. So you can really drill down, to identify the bottlenecks on the task level. So we are going from the level of the activities to the task level. And even sometime, you can't find the data from information systems if you're working in some Excels or so there is not logs, what you can find process mining. So task mining will be also a great addition to get more data and have much deeper analysis. So that's a scenario number one, which is not connected with the RP. It could be, but could be not. Scenario number two is also great because you can add business process documentation almost automatically. So it allows you automated business process mapping. If you are not sure what exactly is happening with your process, this is the right way to go. The last slide I would like to share with you, it's connected with one case study, very interesting case study, which we have done. And you see there were some great results, the ROI. And what I would like to mention here, because everybody is talking only about the automation. Yes, automation first. This is the only way how we can really cut the calls and have an ROI. This is an interesting one. Big telco operator, this is P2P process. And we can see, if we see on the numbers, that there were more than 50% of the cost elimination and ROI is covered outside of the RPA space. So you see it was done by rework elimination with this, rework detector stuff, change avoidance, PO bundling, elimination of no action POs. So totally different, no RPA, no automation is there. And even in the automation, there was a first project on the process mining space, going in deep with the task mining there, and have some, great results. But what we see here, what is the lessons learned, so what will be my advice here? So, please guys, go one step back from automation. Go back to the process intelligence and start with a process mining first initiative, combining with a task mining or process discovery. And I'm sure that it can really help you with your process excellence journey. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Rasto. That was really interesting. The concept of intelligence, process intelligence 2.0. Undoubtedly, this whole top-down and bottoms-up, from process mining and process discovery coming together, and the combination of the kind of visibility is so powerful. I think this whole journey of process excellence going forward is going to look very, very different. And I think this is exactly the kind of technology that the process excellence practitioners, if you will, and people who believe in continuous improvement wanted and needed. And you spoke about one case study, and there are so many more, where value has been delivered leveraging this transformational capability. And this is the future, no doubt about that. In a sense, what we're saying is that this investment that has to be made into the process discovery and mining has to be seen more like a strategic investment, right? It's a capability that an enterprise would need to transform all their processes, irrespective of what system that they're using. So it's a strategic investment that one has to do to champion the process excellence part, and also drive obviously enterprise-wide automation that Bernhard spoke about, and very importantly to drive the continuous improvement. Just one last thing before we get to the panel discussion. Edgeverve has been a pioneer and a trailblazer in this whole process discovery and task mining space, and we're tremendously proud about this. And we've been in the forefront in not only shaping the space, but also now have a leading product like Assisted Discover to help clients uncover the potential of process discovery. And we are delighted that Nelson Hall recently recognized Assisted Discover as a leader. And now we're even more excited to have this partnership with Minet and the possibilities of this partnership and what these two technologies in combination can actually deliver to our customers to drive end-to-end process transformation. So with that, we'll switch gears. We'll get to the panel discussion. We spoke quite a bit about continuous improvement. And Bernhard, continuous improvement can be very elusive if it is not augmented with the right kind of innovation, right? And anything that is continuous obviously means that there is a innovation that is fueling this continuous improvement on a constant basis. So in that context, Bernhard, can process discovery-led approach be used to harness process innovation? Any thoughts from you on the process innovation leveraging process discovery?
Absolutely, absolutely. So since, as I said earlier, since mining and discovery provide objective, unbiased results about an as-is process, in my opinion, it is the perfect baseline for innovation, also known as your to-be or target process. So you base process ideation and process innovation on facts, and that's going to speed up the innovating process itself. And on top, I would even recommend process simulation as another valuable tool to experiment with your process innovation, which you designed and you put down on a piece of paper. So with simulation, you could easily test your innovative process concept before implementing it.
Fantastic. I think you're almost saying that let's create a digital twin of the existing process, transform it before we actually go automate it. And the other thing, we've seen is working with clients is that there's so much of innovation of process that has happened at the grassroots, right? Employees have done a lot of innovation, and that innovation is unseen. People have not seen it, but nobody knows it. People have come up with very creative ways to close things, make work far more effective and efficient for themselves. So this whole approach, yes, Bernard, I think we have seen it's supporting the innovation journey as well, along with the transformation and continuous improvement. So Rasto, quick question to you around, to drive a transformation like this. Obviously, it is important to monitor and improve end-to-end processes, right? And to know at all points in time exactly what is happening. And not having that kind of visibility, obviously, will create dark spots as continuous improvement and process excellence journey happens. So what are your views? How can this technology be actually leveraged to drive this end-to-end improvement, if you will?
Thank you. Great question, Satish. So we see on the market that one of also the issues in the RP implementations is that if you're in the monitoring part, then it's only done, there is a monitoring of the bots. So only the task level monitoring. But the customer, they would like to really improve end-to-end process. So what we are offering here is that we are combining the logs from RP implementations, running bots already, combining with the end-to-end process data, and really we can monitor end-to-end process. Because sometimes happen that some problems are moved from the bots. Bots are running well, but there is no ROI. Why? Because sometimes the bottlenecks are shifted to the human part. And based on this combination of technology, we can monitor end-to-end, find the problems, simulate even some scenarios, and then rework it. And then I believe that there will be a different results out of the RPA projects. So definitely yes.
Wonderful. I think that is a need of the hour, if you will, because no transformation, it is not really at a task level. It is not even a process. It is really end-to-end user journey and customer journey. So great to see that this is possible leveraging these technologies. Now, Bernard, obviously, if you look at a process, there are humans who are executing this process, and there are people on the other side of the process who are getting serviced in one way or the other, right? So there are actors on both sides of these processes. So my question to you is, can the whole mining and discovery approach be leveraged to improve the experience of the people who are engaged with these processes, which may be customers, which may be employees, or any other stakeholder in the ecosystem? What's your view about leveraging this to improve the experience of the stakeholders who are engaged in this process?
In my opinion, process innovation ultimately should always be driven by either customer experience or employee experience or both, because those are the only factors ultimately that count. And if you combine mining results with customer feedback, with employee feedback about a certain process, you'll immediately see the gaps between their perceived experience and the as-is process. And this allows you then to optimize a process in such a way that it will make a positive difference for your customers and your employees. So yes, there is this intense relationship, and customer experience and employee experience should always drive your efforts.
Thanks, Bernard. This obviously, this whole combined capability, if you will, of discovery mining is relatively new. It is somewhat of a new capability in the horizon, as Bernard mentioned during his presentation. It can play a critical role. But one of the questions, Rasto, most of the people who want to try this out have is how long does it take to leverage this technology to get some value, to see results, and are there any real-life case examples, right, that we could talk about? So can you give a fairly detailed view on how, if somebody wants to adopt a technology of this kind, can go about structuring their program and going about engineering and driving this as an integral part of their scaling automation across their enterprise?
Right. Thank you. Very good question. So maybe it will be great probably share with you one of the great examples or case studies we have done. So it was done for one of the really top pharmaceutical companies, and where we use combination of these technologies. So how actually the projects was done. So first of all, we started with process mining, and based on the process mining analysis, we're able to kind of this common framework what is important, and we also define the activities when we need more deeper view. And if we are talking about the timeline, this was pretty fast because there was a systems, it was very easy to connect with. So we were able to do the first results in 1 week time from the process mining perspective. Then we understand where exactly to run the recorders. It was done maybe around, I think, 2-3 weeks. So the results, very, very good results for the presentation to the business users, for the management, we were able to do it in 1 month period. Sometimes it can vary. I think 1 month is realistic time. Sometimes it could be even longer. It could be maybe 6 weeks. It really depends on how their good cooperation is, the company, how they are fast on their side. But these are the realistic timelines for implementing.
Thanks, Rasto. And so it is not a complicated, if you will, right, implementation, right? Relatively fast and a perfected way of ingesting data and obviously, leveraging the sophisticated mining capability will be able to throw out results. So with that, let me hand this back to Beth to see if there are any questions from the audience, so we can field them. Over to you, Beth.
Great, thanks, Satish. Yeah, so we've now come to the Q&A part of the presentation. Thank you all so much for sending those in. We'll go to the first question here, which says, does the tool provide process simulation, input and out data flows? Does someone want to take an answer to that?
Rasto, you want to go?
Yes, sure, definitely. Yes, definitely the tool provides the simulations. Yeah, that could be definitely input and out data flows. So what we are doing, we are actually running the simulation. We are able to create like a new data out of it and a new visualization process, and then you can even compare it with the existing one. So yes, definitely it's possible.
Great, thanks, Rasto. Another question here. What foundations are needed to start process mining? So, i.e. data, platforms, process maturity, etc. Could someone shed some light on that?
Sure. So first of all, of course, it's process mining without data is not possible to do. So definitely, we have a really big bunch of connectors to a very different system. So it's actually not a big problem, so we can definitely connect to the system, extract the data, and provide the analysis. Process maturity, I believe that in every step of the process excellence, process mining is needed. Some companies are at the beginning of that journey, so they're just trying to really map and understand, discover what they have and optimize. Some of them already know where they are, and they can go for my more high level or more, I will say, high-tech features like simulations and AI, other AI stuff. So prediction stuff and so on. So it really depends, but in all levels of the process maturity, it could be possible.
Yeah, just to add, Beth, to what Rastro said, when it comes to the process discovery part of it, it's somewhat technology agnostic, right? It is agnostic to the underlying enterprise applications. It can cut across all different technologies and systems, and whether it is web-based or thick client or thin client, even mainframes as an example, even Citrix-based systems. So it will be able to, a kind of very broad-based way in which it can observe the human interaction with the system and be able to capture all of that data, which we call as the bits and bytes of the process. That's something that we believe it is really the bits and bytes. So it can be done across all the systems. So there is no such limitation, if you will, from a process discovery standpoint.
That's great. That's a lot of detail in those answers. Thank you both. Satish, we've actually got a question here directed to you. This person wants to know, could you tell what is the range of the effort, e.g. in man days, in order to implement Assist Edge in a middle-sized company, headcount of around 250 people? And of course, it depends on the size, but generally speaking.
Yeah, if you look at Assist Edge Discover, well, it's... Rasto mentioned that you will be able to get end-to-end result in 4 to 6 weeks, right? And this is going to be well within that, right? Once you have the system installed, and the important thing is, you will need a decent amount of data to be captured. So if you were to pick a transaction that is executed reasonably enough number of times during the day or a week, then you'll be able to create, maybe a few thousand transactions, if you will. And once that is done, I think this is really a click of button to get the insights and all the value that we're talking about. Now, that is for a task. Now, obviously, you'll be executing this for different processes, across many processes to create this kind of a blueprint, right? So that can be a sequential activity. So I think you can get started with this journey within a matter of a couple of weeks. And from there on, very easily build on top of this.
Great. Thank you, Satish. Moving on to this next question here, which isn't directed to someone in particular, but I will, I'll let you fight over who gets to answer. Interested in how you capture or record the data for data mining. Would someone be able to shed some light on that?
Justo, you want to go?
Oh, yeah, sure, definitely. So, capture recording the data for data mining, So first of all, as we're explaining, so there is a process mining part. The data is exported from information system, the logs. For the recording of the data for task mining or process discovery, there are special recorders which are running on the desktop of the computers, and they're recording every click. And based on that, with the correlation of the data and special analysis with some very special technologies, we are able to get the results.
Great
so
stuff.
It's running. So it's a combination, yes, of these two inputs.
Combination. Absolutely. And another question here, how can those parts of the process which are manual or outside of core/log systems best be integrated into this approach? I don't know whether you want to take that, Rasto?
I can do it, of course. So as for the manual processes, of course, as the process is a paper-based process, we don't have a data for that, or part of it is data. We don't have a data, but we still believe if you have a process which has maybe 7, 8 steps, and you have 2, 3, 4 manual steps, of course you will have some, I will say, gap of information in the process. But still, you have some other ones, so we'll not maybe have some as detailed analysis if you have everything covered digitally, but still it's a lot of benefits. And even if the process maybe you can't get the logs from information systems, then you use task mining, and you can record and correlate this data. So you are covered. You are covering that step. So it gives you more deeper insights exactly in that steps. So this is how we look on that.
Yeah, just to add, Beth, to what Rasto said, see, this is where process discovery comes handy, right? In fact, what we've also seen in many of our customers is there's quite a bit of activity that happens outside of the ERP systems, which may be in the office tools or so on and so forth. And as I mentioned earlier, the whole process discovery discipline, if you will, it just kind of it cuts across all of these things, right? It is not necessarily ERP dependent or web-based application dependent. So it is somewhat, being able to capture end-to-end journey. So that's why this combination makes it so interesting and so much more powerful.
Absolutely. And this question here says, does the system have a toolkit of leading processes across core ERP processes, regardless of the ERP backend technology?
Rasto, I think you're best equipped to take that one.
Okay, happy. So first of all, what we can do here, we definitely have a toolkit how we can connect with the data on different ERP system. For the it's for P2P, O2C, really a different financial processes, really different processes for different industries. So it's covered. We have all the knowledge how to do it. It's not only based on the information system and the data, but also knowledge on the process level. So we know what are the best practices for different industries, different type of processes. What we can do always is compare the blueprint of these processes to the process what the customer have and see what are the differences. And based on that, also try to help and run the process improvement.
Great, thank you, Rasto. This question actually is directed towards you as well. Do enterprises need to run recording for every step of the process? And if so, what are the best practices for that? Can you answer that for us, Rasto?
Definitely. So it's not necessary. Think about you will have a running recording for every activity or every part of the process. It will be too complicated, and it's not necessary actually. So that's why you start with your journey, process intelligence journey, with process mining itself. You mapping end-to-end process. Based on this analysis, you will define activity. So you will see all the information of a high-level process, and then you understand, okay, for this particular activity, I need much more information. I need to go on the task level. So, and you just run the recordings for this particular activity, or it could be more activities. Yeah, so definitely not. It's not necessary for all. Only when the process mining show it that it's really necessary.
Great, thank you. We have one more question here. I'm conscious because we do have a poll that we'd love to run with all of you. So we'll get to the last question here. Final question, does the product allow discovery within a BPO environment and make recommendations on moving work from BPO, i.e. external, back to internal? Absolutely.
In fact, it's a great use case that we are leveraging this across many clients. One of the things that Rasto mentioned earlier is this tool, this capability not only records the as-is process, but also, creates a very a scientific way in which, the process documentation gets created, right, automatically. And the documentation that gets created is so detailed enough that, you can actually leverage this as a training tool, as a transition tool, to be able to move the process know-how from, let's say one department to another department or one company to another company. Absolutely. I think it's a brilliant question, and this is a tool that can help in that journey.
Great, thank you.
Yes.
And I can actually see that we've got, oh, sorry, Rasto, did you have something to add?
Oh, yes, I think, it's definitely that we have a lot of experience with different shared service centers, they're run externally, and using this technology, always the company can figure out, and based on this simulation and, recommendations, you understand where to go. And sometimes you can even compare if for the company it's better to stay, use it externally, to do simulation of the resources, costs and so on, and compare it with the internal one. So, and do a decision. So definitely yes.
Wonderful. Do you know what? I think we've got time for one more question. We've actually just had quite a few flood in, so why don't we address just one more? We have a question here to finish on. How do we determine a consensus or most preferred process from various alternate repeat path registered?
Okay,
Bernard,
Satish, or I
was wondering if Bernard, do you want to address that? Go on, Rasto, I think, but maybe
I can do it, of course. Based on the tools we have, we can definitely understand, because every company has a different priority. For them, the best process could be that is the most efficient in terms of the costs. For another company, it could be that it's the fastest part is really fast. The performance is important. For another one, it could be some other important factors. And based on that analysis, of course, the analysts always need to focus on this prioritization for the company. What is the most important one? And based on this, you have really the results. So you see it from that particular view. If you would like to see the best process variance from the cost perspective, you see that. If you see it from the performance, you see that. So this is exactly how this technology can help you, just having this almost out of the box.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for all of your answers. They were really detailed and really insightful. So thank you all. And thank you all for your questions as well. Satish, I'll actually hand back to you momentarily, because I believe that you're here to navigate to our last minute poll question and just sign off lastly. So I think we're moving on to the slide now. Okay, so we've got one final question. So what would you like to do now to speak to a process excellence expert, see a demo to kickstart your process excellence journey, or to get more information about process discovery and mining? Feel free to send in your answers right about now. In the meantime, though, I would love to thank you all so much for joining for the presentation today. I want to warmly thank our speakers who have joined us, Rasto, Bernhard and Satish. It was honestly a pleasure to have you, and obviously to partner with EdgeVerve is fantastic. So thank you all so much for being part of the webinar today. If any of you have sent in any questions that we didn't manage to address on the webinar today just because we've run out of time, then we'll of course send those across to the presenters for them to reach out to you separately once the webinar is finished. And we'll also be sending out an email for a recording of this session if you've got any colleagues or anyone on your team who didn't manage to make it to the live webinar but also wanted to see some live recordings. So we'll be sending that email shortly. But yeah, final notes, just to say thank you to our wonderful speakers, so Rasto, Bernhard and Satish. It's been absolutely wonderful having you here today. And thank you all to everybody, wherever you are, for joining. And we hope to see you at another live webinar soon. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys.